Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings in Blaine for the Friday Football Feast on KFAN, PA Charch. Alec Lewis from The Athletic, ladies and gentlemen. You read him, you follow him on Twitter, and you listen to him on the Friday Football Feast. And here is Alec Lewis. Let's.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Charch.
Hey.
We have some stuff we think is interesting here for you, but
Bill Arnsparger.
yeah, let's get that out of the way.
He invented the fire zone, and you know how you always talk like 3-4 floaters, 3-4 hybrid. You know how he uses that every single week. That's him.
Okay.
Like, he's the guy who created that. I don't know if you know. You watch a lot of defense.
3-4 hybrid with floaters. That's the Florida team. That somebody told me that into the 2023 season. Like, well, how do you describe this? 3-4 high. It's a hybrid 3-4 with floaters. What the hell's that?
You always say super special floaters. Yeah. Bill Arnsparger and those Dolphins, incredible defense. He was like the inventor of that. And a lot of the sim pressure stuff that we see now, where like 4 guys blitz from different spots, that was all his invention. That's Bill Arnsparger for you guys.
What's fire zone?
A fire
zone
blitz is a zone blitz. It's just a zone blitz, essentially, where you blitz and you're playing zone behind it.
Okay.
So what you're telling me is that, so he's 70s, no-name defense, undefeated Dolphins. They beat at that time. That's like the first football game I remember in my life. I was 6. I lived in Washington, D.C. Billy Kilmer, Sonny Jurgensen, Charlie Taylor, Dylan Talbert, Chris Hamburger, Pat. Those are my favorite guys.
Oh, yeah, Chris Hamburger.
Ken Houston, 27. I got an autograph at a football camp. So that was like that was the first like season I remember living in D.C. And they're gonna play this undefeated Dolphins team with Don Shula and the no-name defense. Arnsparger was a coordinator for that defense. A lot of respect for that. But you're telling me, in all the years of football before the no-name defense, everybody just rushed 3 or 4 every single time. Nobody brought an extra guy until this guy rolled around.
Nobody thought of it.
No, you could bring it. No, they used to bring extra people, but they didn't play zone behind it, or they brought the same type of people. It was a creative vision. You're creative. You have vision of doing different
Arnsparger, HOF or not?
I don't know. I'm not an HOF mind. I just know that Bill Arnsparger deserves more credit than you guys gave him. And
if he invented that and created like the fire zone, let's say it's the one scheme, but off of it 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D, 1E, 1F. I mean, which has stood the test of time defensively. I mean, that's an HOF move right there.
When you talk to Flo next, you and him, I know you guys are close.
Oh, we have a good vibe.
I see you at practice dapping him up and stuff. Mm-hmm. Just next time you talk to him, I want to ask him about Bill Arnsparger.
That's a great point.
Yeah, no problem.
I might do that today.
Now, what I told PA was...
I love that.
I think there's probably coordinators who just... You weren't a great head coach, but you were an amazing coordinator for a very long time. You were innovative and very successful. I think you should be able to get in as a coordinator if you were awesome at your job.
But that's why they have that ancillary bit where, like, I had Monty Kiffin on the radio
Monty
show.
Kiffin.
Like,
perfect.
I mean, he recently died, right?
Yeah. You talked to Lane, I remember.
Talked to Lane about Monty, who had just died. Thank you. All right, well, Monty, he didn't invent, but he revolutionized the Tampa 2, which happens to be known as the cover 2. But it was rush 4 and drop 7 and do it consistently with tricks. Like Zimmer and the double-A gap mugging and the double-A gap blitzes.
Yeah.
This is, Kiffin is not the first in the history of the NFL to consistently rush 4 and drop 7. Whomever the defensive coordinator was for the Los Angeles Rams when they had the fearsome foursome with Merlin Olsen and Rosie Greer and those cats.
It's a long time ago.
I can't believe that they were blitzing that often, or the Purple People Eaters with Marshall and that kind of stuff. I can't believe they were blitzing a lot. But nevertheless, Monty did some HOF stuff. Arnsparger, I'm sure, did too with the Fire Zone Blitz. But like Zimmer is not the first person to have players come up to the gaps that are off the shoulders of the guards and the centers, the A gap. And the center and the guards, and then feign, come back up, whatever. He just did it in a way that splashed. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's HOF worthy.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm not an HOF. I'm not a voter. I think I leave that to Mark Craig in the local market to make those types of decisions.
All right.
But, the Vikings play the Colts this week.
Well, I have a holdover. I have a holdover from the fantasy segment, the previous segment.
Okay.
I just want to hear what you say because you have the quirky gene, and I'm happy to enjoy that. So, the first overall, you're going to go first, Charch.
Okay.
And then Alec, then me. First overall pick. So let's yesterday. First overall pick for fantasy in a fantasy Halloween candy draft. What's your first overall pick?
Now, you've got pick one.
No, you have pick one.
Do I get pick one?
Yeah.
All right, this is done. Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
What happened to the Lion Bar?
Well, I can't get it at Halloween. That's why.
What do you mean? You drive down to Jordan, you can get it.
No, I'm not
Hey,
going to.
you know what? I forgot to tell you this. The Lion Bar is generated in the UK.
It is.
Okay?
Yes.
And I was in the UK for 4.5 days.
It's everywhere.
I couldn't find one Lion Bar in Watford or London.
Shut up.
But I drive down to the big candy store, the big yellow thing off 169.
Jordan, yeah.
Yeah, and they have
everywhere.
They have like 100 of the white chocolate and the dark chocolate, and
the Lion Bar
people
is
happen
huge.
to like both chocolates.
It's huge in Europe. They have Lion Bar Lion Bar cereal. The Lion Bar is awesome.
That sounds so good.
Yeah. The Lion Bar.
Okay.
If you married together a Twix and $100,000 in one bar,
thank you.
You've got a Lion Bar.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
I've never had that.
I might be making a candy store trip in the next few days. I'll get some Lion Bars and I'll bring them to you in the press box. Okay?
No, I appreciate it. That'd be great.
Yeah.
He took my pick. Reese's Cup is my favorite candy.
Gessling gets two. You get one.
As you can give Gessling 5 and give me a half. I don't know, that's fine. I'll take it.
So Reese's Peanut Butter Cup?
Well, and
it's elite.
Here's the thing about
it's
why everybody loves the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Yeah.
It's peanut butter, which most people love.
Yeah.
I don't even like peanut butter. I love the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Yeah.
It's chocolate, but here's the thing that makes it work.
Mm-hmm.
It's salty. The Reese's Peanut Butter Cup is salty, and that's the magic of it.
About this.
Also,
I know
when you take the wrapper off, and it's got all those little pointy ends.
The ridges.
You can nibble all the little pointy ends.
Yeah, the ridges are a critical piece of it.
Oh, wow.
Charch is going to pull up numbers. Okay. So if you look in the slot.
How many ridges? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Let me guess, Arnsparger invented the ridges. Before that, it was smooth. It was smooth around the side. Cool, I just drooled on myself. Old people do that, too.
Well, the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup will do that.
Right,
You're just thinking about it. You're drooling.
I think my pick after Reese's Cup would have been my number one pick by far.
Yep.
I like Snickers.
So do I.
I like Snickers.
It's the best-selling candy bar in the world. You are not alone.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good enough. I like Snickers. It has everything you need. They put some of those sometimes down in the media room, and it's a disaster because for people that don't know, we go to practice for 10 minutes, and then we sit down there for an hour and a half.
You guys were there a little longer than normal yesterday.
Then we go to the locker room, then we come back and sit for another, and they just got candy bars. It's like they're trying to, affect our psyche.
They have tacos down there sometimes.
They have everything down there.
The taco bit oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, now, Paul, what about you? What's your candy? So we got
probably
Reese's is off the board, and then Alec
I can't take those.
No, it's a draft.
Oh, Lord. Wow. So, but I get two because I go back to back.
That's right. You get two.
Fourth chin coming. I would say it's a battle between either candy corn.
What? No, it's not. Nobody's taking candy corn. Candy corn is Mr. Irrelevant of Halloween candy draft.
It's either candy, Boston baked beans.
Actually, I like those.
They're okay.
Why can't you just give it? Actually, are you serious?
And I eat a lot of candy.
Right.
I like Baby Ruth.
Baby Ruth.
Yep, I like Baby Ruth. We have we have caramel. I think we have nougat. I know we have nuts.
No nougat.
No nougat?
No nougat.
Okay.
You get caramel and nuts.
Okay.
And chocolate.
Charch is like a candy.
Also, don't try to beat me on that.
Also, my SOD, my steal of the draft that I'd hold off on until we do this on Saturday for the final 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Charleston Chew.
Really?
Big Charleston Chew.
Yeah. Well, if you want to buy volume, that's your winner.
I don't know if I've ever had it.
Old people like volume. Old people like chocolate with nougat.
Yeah.
Also, $100,000 bar.
The $100,000 is delicious. I love the $100,000.
What about Three Musketeer?
Doesn't do it. There's not enough.
There's not enough.
Just substance
Jared's not in his head.
Yeah, but there's not enough spike to it.
No.
Sorry about that.
I mean, you're all over the place.
I know.
It's candy.
I'm dribbling on myself. I'm spitting on YA. All right.
Good Lord. You want to talk about the Colts?
Yeah, sure.
By the way,
you want to talk about the candy or the Colts?
Either one. It's fine.
Whatchamacallit.
What were you saying?
Really underrated.
Whatchamacallit
is delicious.
No, it sucks.
It's got all the rice in there that is held together by peanut butter.
But I don't want rice in my candy.
Oh, it's fantastic.
No, I want
you don't
rice
like a
with
Crunch
my
Bar?
Kung Pao chicken. I don't want it with my candy.
No, it's Rice Krispie. It's like a Rice
but I
Krispie,
don't
like a
like Rice
Crunch
Krispie,
Bar.
the cereal.
The Lion Bar has got the rice in it.
The
It's got
Rice Krispie, the cereal, you have to
Krispies.
use half a container of sugar just to make it palpable.
Yeah, well, I don't want a bowl of Rice Krispies either.
All right, for the next activity, we're going to do a guillotine league where you cut.
Right.
Where you
Do you like Raisin Bran? With you add raisins. I love raisins. You add raisins, and then you add a little sugar.
To what? Raisin Bran?
Yeah, with
you take
milk.
Raisin Bran and add more raisins and more sugar.
What do you sprinkle like?
good.
What do you mean? You like get a spoon of sugar and like pour it on top?
That sounds like a song.
Pour some
sugar on
Raisin
YA. Okay, 3-2.
The Vikings play Sunday.
Right. How's the podcast going?
It's been good. It's been fun.
A lot of people listening to it?
I don't know. I mean,
Sure you do.
enough,
You're lying.
Enough people listen to it. for me.
Excellent. So Cashman apparently is going to be a DMP 3 in a row.
It doesn't look.
I mean, he hasn't practiced 2 days in a row. O'Connell's like, paraphrasing. He's on the Mike Hughes Memorial Field going through the game plan and stuff like that, but not team activities. I mean, I'd bet he's not playing. What about you?
Well, it sounded like last week when early in the week we asked about injuries. Kevin seemed hopeful for Blake for this week. And
After
then
2 games, right? Yeah.
And then even earlier this week, I can't remember if it was Monday. I think it was Wednesday. He was asked about Cashman. He said he's probably going to be on the side field, and that was going to give them an idea. Well, they ended up practicing inside that day and didn't see Blake Cashman out there. So
very coy.
It does not feel like. I mean, rarely have they had guys DNP or limited in practice all the way up until the game and then played him. So it's hard for me at this point to think he plays in his absence. Like the more you watch this defense, I almost. And I thought Blake Cashman has been phenomenal, but the more I watch this defense without him, the more I'm like, is he, I mean, like Fred Warner mixed with Lawrence Taylor, considering how different this defense looks? And I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they try to adapt if they don't have him. And right now, if you're asking me, I'd be pretty shocked if he played on Sunday night.
Yeah, me too.
I don't, at this point, I can't expect it. Turf toe is a really difficult injury, and it's got a bad name. Your turf toe, get over it. It's torn ligaments in the toe, and all it does is affect every step you take. You can't push off on it. You can't cut on it. You can't accelerate with it. And it's incredibly painful.
I was thinking about this the other day. You know how there's you on the TV in the back of this Buffalo Wild Wings. Somehow, that's crazy.
Omnipresence, few know.
Yeah. I was thinking about this the other day. We always talk about these injuries like it's just like it's like a sickness, and you just get like this stuff requires like legitimate if you guys have ever like been running or working out, and it like you have to give it time and I know Blake Cashman's been in there, but if you ever talk to this guy, I've talked to him after games, you have too, he's got scars on shoulders I mean, this guy's been like, his body's been through it, so it's not when I always hear fans of like, why is it taking so long for a guy to get back, or why aren't they play like these guys are very smart with how they go about it, and they are doing everything they can to get back. But I mean, to your point, like if they don't have him, I have questions over the middle of the field as I think about Josh Downs, who I've watched on film this week.
You got it,
and I'm like, this guy
is
Josh
good.
Downs, he people don't.
Yep.
And his brother Caleb plays at Ohio State. Is maybe the youngest, maybe the best young safety I've ever seen in college football.
Really?
An incredible player.
You know, we've had some good ones here.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this guy Caleb Downs is ridiculous.
Okay.
But his brother Josh, who the Vikings played this weekend, I mean, I was trying to think of like a comp as I'm watching him play, but he finds space in zones. He's shifty. They use him in motion. Like he's going to test, I think, their eyes, their vision, especially underneath, if they don't have Blake Cashman.
Wow.
Well, and as I mentioned with Paul earlier in the show, slot receivers are hammering this team.
Yeah.
You know, Debo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jaden Reed. Steph Diggs ran largely out of the slot and hurt the Vikings.
All those guys you mentioned, by the way, they slot XYZ wherever they are. They all happen to be high-end receivers.
They're all very good receivers. And Downs isn't there yet, but he's their best receiver.
But I mean, it's not like you're being like,
emerging.
Yeah, Phil McConkey just went for 7, 162, and 4. We got a problem.
Stephon Diggs. Cooper Kupp.
I know. Those
one of the most accomplished. Yeah,
Diggs is.
I know, right?
I understand. Josh Downs is not on that level yet, but I'm telling you, this kid's really good, and he's their best receiver.
I'm glad you think that, too, because literally I went back and watched their offense, Joe Flacco, against the Titans defense, and everybody can laugh. Oh, it's the Titans.
No, that's terrible. A good defense.
Their defense has been pretty good. And they get pressure up front, and their cornerbacks, like a guy Jarvis Brownlee as a cornerback has been pretty good this year. And Josh Downs, you'll see them use him in orbit motion, and then he'll pop out, and you'll see him run option routes in the slot, kind of like the Vikings use sometimes with Justin Jefferson. Now, I will say this. Like, I listened to you guys earlier, and I've listened to the narratives all week. And it's like, okay, Anthony Richardson is benched, and now it's Joe Flacco. And everyone's like, oh, man, this is going to – Joe Flacco. Like, yes.
No, they're right.
It might be tougher, but, like, Joe Flacco – he's not like some like you. I've heard the way sometimes I've heard
he's Jared Goff light at this stage of his career.
But he's not.
Bro, Jared Goff may never be a Super Bowl MVP. This guy has been.
Jared Goff went 22 of 25 in that game 3 weeks ago or whatever. Joe Flacco is a 64% completion percentage.
Not bad.
He'll throw it accurately at times over the middle of the field. He can't move that well. He'll throw interceptions frequently. Like
not frequently.
Listen.
7 touchdowns, 1 pick this year. He hasn't thrown more interceptions than touchdowns in 11 years. Okay, so that's 11 years. Now hold on here. We've had Denver in there. We've had the Jets. We've had Cleveland. So he became a mercenary in maybe 2018, 27, around there.
Yeah,
so,
Lamar started to take over.
Okay, so he became a mercenary, and then I'm a gun for hire. Now, I understand what you're saying, but 7 touchdowns, 1 interception this year. It's why Flacco gives them a better chance to win.
I agree that he does.
Okay, well, it's simply because Richardson with the 44%, the 6 drops, lost 2. Really, Richardson against Flores? I mean, trying to figure that thing out. Are you kidding me? But here's the biggest bit. And actually somebody who played with a running quarterback in the past told me this yesterday at practice. And it was, here's where Richardson blew it. He has an oblique. He's had one all year. Yeah. It's on the injury report. You're tired. You're not the first Mike Vick, Fran the Man on the Fan, whomever, to get tired running 3 times in a row, 1 for 24, and you had to shake Futakami, Cam Newton. You had to shake him, which was hard to do. Okay? But instead of getting up and tapping out, just lay there and say my oblique hurts. They're going to stop the whole game. They're going to give you, injury timeout. My man, you got to sit out a play, which you're going to do anyway. That's the way to do it. With the way he did it, it's offensive members are like, dog, really? Like, I'm not tired? I'm left guard guy. I played 60 consecutive. Really? So you could not put him back this game.
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to say. One, I think this is going to be a really tough game. I do. I really believe that. And I
agree.
And I think Joe Flacco gives them a better chance to win in this game because of his ability to probably handle protections. That's often what really makes it hard in terms of Brian Flores' defense on these young quarterbacks. But I think there are some obvious limitations, both in, like, Jonathan Taylor does not pass protect. He doesn't do it. And if you've watched these teams that have beaten the Vikings recently, they have all 7 guys in their backfield, on their line, pass protect. So I think that's a critical aspect. And then while I think Joe Flacco, again, gives them a better chance.
Let's not make it sound like the Super Bowl MVP from 2012. I get it.
That's just all I get it. What I want to say.
Okay, right. I understand that, but also consider this: Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, and Joe Flacco are, as Charch would say, scholars of the game.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're 3 scholars with masters of the game over the last 20 years. So those are the 3 in succession into which you have run. Now, Goff has the best overall team in the NFL. That counts, too. Stafford goes full strength with Kupp, Nakua, Kyron, and Demarcus Robinson, by the way, is a dog. Okay? He's not a high-end 1 or 2. Yeah. He's played for many years. He's made big catches in big games, including the Super Bowl. And him having 2 touchdowns as a 3, where you got those other 3, that makes sense. You got to cover him. Demarcus is tough, man. He's always been tough.
And they couldn't cover him.
So Stafford went full strength. Okay, scholar of the game. Stafford is super smart at diagnosing things, but guess what? So is Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco is elite football mind over the last 20 years of football, and that counts, too, against this type of defense.
Very accomplished. And, yeah, I mean, he's going to have the level of experience that those other two guys have. And I think similarly, Shane Steichen is a good coordinator. He does a solid job. I mean, having an experienced quarterback probably gives him the opportunity to do more. Like we've talked about Josh Downs. I think he's really good. Michael Pittman's experience. Mo Alley Cox, a tight end. Good player. Their offensive line, they might be missing their left tackle, Bernard Ryman, which means a rookie who's never played, I don't think, never started a game would step in. That's interesting to me. But the rest of their offensive line, Ryan Kelly at center, Quentin Nelson at left guard, it's pretty good. I guess just my thing with that
I got you.
is Jared Goff to me has a better arm than Joe Flacco. And Matthew Stafford is way more creative than Joe Flacco.
I agree. By the way, everything we just chatted about, when we call, watch, chronicle, or tweet about the game Sunday night, it's not going to matter. And I'll tell you why when 9 to noon continues from Buffalo Wild Wings in Blaine. But first, here's Nordo with the cash time.
The Fan, along with two men in a junk truck, want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword WIN, and you might win $1,000. The keyword is WIN at KFAN.com.
Buffalo Wild Wings. Make sure, please, if you have it in you, make sure to tip the servers and the bartenders exceedingly well. Not only is it the holiday season, but they got here super early to make this all nice and comfortable. And they're really, really good at what they do. And they're really patient with people who start drinking at 9 a.m. and it's 11:30. If you're of that variety.
Love it.
All right. So tip them nicely. And we thank you very much for your kindness and the patronage of all the servers. And thanks for having us at the Friday Football Feast. Why I said that the whole Flacco Richardson is all week I've just felt the Indianapolis Colts are going to run the ball about 70% of the time in this game if they can, maybe 65. With Taylor, and now that I've looked at their offense a little bit and what Charch's guy, Mo Alley Cox, does, they got the second tight end who's also a beef eater. And they throw, don't get me wrong, but with Ryman, the left tackle, in concussion protocol, and a statuesque quarterback, you can't put him on a 7-step drop without his left tackle. He's not fast enough to do it. It gets there fast, and it just takes once for Flo Jacko at this age to be hit the wrong way, and then regrettably, you're back to the 4th overall pick in the draft last year, which shouldn't be a bad thing, but you see what I'm saying? I think they're going to run a lot and right up the gut.
You get to exactly probably the strategy for Minnesota needs to be to get an early lead to where you make them throw. I mean, that's a critical aspect. And you also are getting at what I'm probably most interested in this game to watch. The pass rush was the game against the Rams against a really young, inexperienced offensive line in Los Angeles. Was that just an outlier blip? Because they'd gotten pressure in the first 6 games. They'd gotten pressure on the quarterback.
They got McVay.
And they might have.
They got McVay.
Yeah, they might have.
But the guy before him, Ben Johnson, well, he's about set to McVay people for 10 years or 15 years.
Probably,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just so strange. I think they sacked Goff 4 times and had pressures and hits and stuff like that against Decker over to Sewell. So now you got these 2 college guys. One's like a 4th rounder or whatever from USC. One's undrafted from Arkansas, something like that.
Yeah, Bo Limmer.
Yeah, and Bo Limmer at center. And they're having their problems all season, but I just think we got McVay in that situation, you know?
It's going to be interesting.
Weighing in against Steichen.
Jonathan Grenard, and Jonathan Grenard, I mean, he's been everything that this team could have hoped for from a pass rush standpoint. He has the 3rd most pressures right now in the NFL behind Nick Bosa and Aiden Hutchinson.
Wow.
So he has been incredibly productive.
By the way, Aiden Hutchinson still leading.
That's
great. how big the gap was when he went down 3 weeks
with
ago.
pressures.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy. On the other side, Andrew Van Ginkel, when he's rushed the passer, he's been good, but they need him oftentimes in coverage.
Right.
And that's left the interior when offenses have used tempo to keep Harrison Phillips and Jonathan Bullard on the field. There hasn't been a lot of interior pass rush. So I'm really curious to see if that goes similarly, if the Vikings change up personnel on the interior of the front, if Dallas Turner is more like all of that. The pass rush to me, as I walk into that stadium, like that is probably focal point A of what I want to watch, because this defense has to be not the level it was in the first 5 games to give this team a chance, but I think it has to be really good for them to do what they want to do, to continue to win, to be competitive. So that's what I will be looking to watch.
The pass defense, certainly part of it. Talk to me about how you feel about the cornerback play specifically, because I feel like it's been, and Stephon Gilmore in particular, has really dropped off the last couple of weeks. Again, a couple of stats here if we want to get him into Gilmore specifically. How about this? Past 2 games, he's allowed touchdowns in both games. He's given up 9 of 11 targets in Gilmore's coverage have been caught.
Oh, stop that.
Well, I just, I don't want to slander the guy without a little data behind it, so that's what we've looked at Gilmore. How do you feel about the cornerback situation right now?
Yeah, well, I feel like from the time that Byron Murphy Jr. got here, you've brought him up to me every single Friday, and we've talked about him, and I've talked often about how, they play zone coverages, so he's not manning guys, but, I mean, against the Rams, PA mentioned Demarcus Robinson. Oh, he's and I believe that he is an underrated receiver, but if you're Shaq Griffin and you are signed to be a man-to-man corner and you're getting beat by Demarcus Robinson, and that's why this defense has not played man-to-man, because these guys, Stephon Gilmore gets beat on a release by Khalif Raymond in the red zone. Like, these guys just cannot play man-to-man. And so this issue of not having guys who can lock down receivers at cornerback has existed since I got here in 2022, and it remains a problem, and I give them credit. They put resources into it. They've drafted players. They've signed players in free agency. But when you're doing that and the draft players aren't hitting, like the Andrew Booth and the Caleb Evans, and Mekhi Blackman's injured, so we don't know, it puts you in a really tough situation to where you have to play zone. And when you play zone and you're not creating a pass rush, there's spaces in zones. That's literally why it's called zone. It's like basketball. When you play a 2-3 zone, those players on the wing love shooting threes because the man's not in their face.
Yeah.
And that's the same, really, it's similar in this defense. So I don't feel good about the corners, and it's going to be incumbent upon the pass rush to make sure those guys don't have to cover every little bit of space across the defense.
Okay, so with the way you laid that out, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think, a really interesting part of it was all of the end of the season, we want to play man, we want to play man, we want to play man, here's why. And they're not playing it a lot, and individuals can deduce the reasons why on their own. Okay, so that was beautiful. However, how does Cashman factor into that whole thing?
Well, part of the reason,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, part of the reason those zones have been so good is because they have had players, and Blake Cashman might be the best among them, of like playing with vision on the quarterback, so he gets to the right places in the zone. Whereas Ivan Pace, like undrafted player, I got you. He's been really impressive through 2 years. He's great at stopping the run, but he's not the most like feel the zone type of pass coverage type of defender. So that's where you miss Blake Cashman. And it all works together.
I'm sorry to clump, but I mean,
you can clump,
but it's in fairness. Look at the last 2 against whom he went. Okay, you take one step the wrong way 4 times over a month, McVay and Johnson are going to eat that alive until you fix it.
You're right, and they are 2 of the best coordinators. And those offenses, when that offense, that Rams offense, has Puka, Cooper Kupp, and Kyron Williams, they are close to as good as anybody. So those 2 offenses were dynamite. But the reality is, you guys both know this better than I do because you've done it longer than I have. Like, you're going to run into these teams every single week that have guys I mean, not all the coordinators are as good as Ben Johnson and Sean McVay, but all these teams have talent. That's why I laugh every week, because it's like, that should be an easy game. If it should be an easy game, then the spread wouldn't be 2.5 points. The spread would be 33.5.
Yeah.
Like, all of these spreads every single week in every game are like 4 points, 3 points, 5 points, which means any team can really win. They're that close together.
Right.
And so I just, you're going to lose players defensively. It's going to be tough. But when you don't have corner, Nick Saban used to say it all the time. If we could just play man coverage and play cover one the whole game, we would, because that is the best defense. But we don't have the corners to do that all the time. And that's why the Vikings haven't done that.
Time for one more.
The run defense had been stifling, and that had really set up your pass defense, knowing that teams were struggling to run. The Vikings were getting big leads, and now it's just all passing. And you could work with that, knowing passes were coming. The last 2 weeks, Jahmyr Gibbs has gone off. Kyron Williams had a really nice game last Thursday. So where do you feel like the run defense is sitting right now? And again, we're back to the conversation goes back to Blake Cashman again to some degree. And I got to believe that's not a coincidence that those struggles have come with him out.
No, you're right. In the run defense, I mean, I go back and forth, because if you look at like yards per carry, they've given up way more the last 2 weeks. But then if you look at like the really advanced metrics, success rate, EPA, it's been okay. So I've struggled myself of like, has it really gotten worse, or is it just like a couple explosive plays have really beaten them? I'm looking forward to watching this weekend against Jonathan Taylor to see what happens. I also, when you have more early leads, then teams have to pass more, and that's another aspect. And then this defense has been on the field a lot, and these are a lot of old players, like a lot, not old, but these are older defenders. And I do wonder if over the course of a season, players who are older, the more that they have to be on the field, the
they're going to wear down.
Right.
Yeah.
That feels like a fair question to ask. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that's going to matter. I don't want to sound so negative, because I do think the Vikings are going to win this game. But the defense and how they perform to me is going to be very interesting in this game.
See you at the game this weekend.
Yep. I'm looking forward to you bringing the Lions candy bars or whatever.
I might.
The Lion Bar. Let's get it right.
Yeah.
A little respect for the Lion Bar.
The Lions candy bar is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Listen,
and nobody eats him up.
Listen, I'll respect Lion. Is just respect Arnsbarger. Thank you for having me. You're ridiculous.
Alec Lewis, the Athletic. He's a card-carrying member of the Friday Football Feast. Final segments after this. Don't leave.
I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow might very well be too late. I can't wait until tomorrow. 'Cause tomorrow
Hashtag Faith Radio.
I know it could end any minute, but I pray tomorrow comes. But it could be too late.
Buffalo Wild Wings, Blaine, thank you very much for the patronage today. This was a frenzied Friday football feast, and we loved it. A very kind crowd. Thank you very much for tipping the servers and the bartenders the way you guys have. That means a lot to them, we know. And next week, we are at Buffalo Wild Wings Elk River for the Friday football feast. Buffalo Wild Wings Crystal after that. And hopefully this Vikings game, when we crystallize what we would like to see on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's to the time of the season approaching the midway point where I'm not, I wasn't big style points guy through the first 5 because there was some aberration to what they did to Houston. Mm-hmm. Okay. At that stage, I liked them better than Houston. But I didn't think nobody thought it would go like that. First half of Green Bay, second half of Green Bay, some things started to change.
Yeah.
So this becomes the bump and grind part of the season where you have 3, 4, 5, 600 plays on film off which you can play. So therefore it gets it's just here's the point. It's just get to the winner's circle. Just get to the winner. Put your nose down on the wire first.
Yeah.
Beat the Colts, get to the wire first, get that victory, because the next few, I mean, Trevor Lawrence is at this stage of his career, equity-wise, he's not in the class of the three we will have played.
No.
Okay, Lawrence, whatever. Every time I watch him, I can't figure out what he does well. And then after that, whatever iteration of QB Tennessee wants to run out, good luck with that.
Right.
And then you get young Caleb, who wants to run before he wants to pass, but he's going to be a very good quarterback one day. We'll see.
Inconsistent.
But getting over the hump here, actually, of the next 3 games, and this is the only one at home, this is the toughest one for my estimation, because the Colts find a way to keep everything close.
They do.
They can run well.
Yep.
It got me scared about Downs now. I knew he was good, but you laid out some things that are good. Then like Zaire Franklin, Julian Blackmon, Kenny Moore, Quiddy Pay, Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner, that they have defensive players, man, that we're in NFC country that we don't follow closely, but now I'm up to speed on them, and they're good. So this Colts team ain't bad. It's a 4-4 team that struggled with a young quarterback, and now they're going to a guy who might go to the Hall of Fame. So this is going to be a meat grinder, Charchie.
Joe Flacco brings 8 extra points per game. I mean, 8 points is the difference of most of football games.
Wow.
Talk about playing close. That is a worry. The Vikings get to counter with T.J. Hawkinson for the first time in a year.
Yep.
And can't wait to see what he can bring to this offense, along with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. I mean, this is now the most complete offense we have seen in a long time.
Blaine, the engineer, Jared Wells. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. Nick Madden Street Team. Paul Charchian, Paul Allen, Nordo back at KFAN. That's the Friday football on KFAN. Skol Vikes, have a good weekend.
If it's good news or money, leave a message.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.